Hello, everyone. Welcome to Golf Thursdays. I'm Sean Fitzgerald. I'm one of the personal trainers here at the Upper Valley Aquatic Center. So I want to thank you for tagging in and joining along. And like always, go ahead, like, subscribe, right? Kind of spread the knowledge and kind of spread some more information and get the word out there about what we can do here, what we can do for you, and ways to connect and kind of grow from there. So welcome to our Thursday editions of how we can basically improve, take a look at, work on, or basically address any of your kind of questions, concerns, or anything like that for your golf game. So been kind of working through the areas, kind of going up through the body. So today we're kind of going into an area that a lot of people seem to be very hesitant about. It's a lot where there's a lot of issues going on. A lot of people seem to question certain exercises also. So we're going into the knees, right? So basically, if you think about it, your knee is what's a hinge joint, right? It just kind of goes up and down. It only hinges, right? You take a look at a hinge, with a carpenter or, like a door, like hinge only moves one way, right? It can only go open and close, right? So your knee is basically, that's what it does, right? Basically it extends out, comes back down, flexion and extension. That's all it literally can do, right? So a lot of people have knee, say, issues and concerns or troubles, right? So everyone kind of feels like there's something going on with their knees, because if you think about it, the knees are basically, your knee is in between two long levers and it supports a majority of your body, right? So heavier you are, sometimes your knees start bothering you. The lighter they are, it takes pressure off your knees, right? That's why water exercises, you do aqua aerobics, you do, like a deep water type class where you're kind of suspended, like it takes the pressure off. You do a lazy river or a walk in the pool, right? It kind of helps take the pressure off of your knees, right? In your body. So, but how does that relate with golf, right? So golf is a one-sided, like, rotational activity, right? If you're a righty, you're constantly swinging right hand, right? You just don't switch back, So righties are always on the right side, lefties on the left side. So you're constantly in that same position nonstop, right? So that creates a little bit of your, say, muscle imbalances, right? Because you're constantly only in one way, right? So we want to take a look at how the golf game itself puts pressure on healthy knees, maybe some arthritic knees, maybe some knees that have developed over time to cause some issues, things like that. So just take a look at an everyday activity standpoint and how your knees can bother you, and then now add a very rough kind of torque with your golf swing, and how that actually can really makes sense to why knees is kind of an issue. So let's talk about kind of what it looks like, right? So got my handy dandy makeshift 5-iron, right? So if I'm in my stance, right, are my knees locked out? No, they shouldn't be, right? You should be in a slight bent position, right? We need to be in that kind of athletic stance, right? Any of the basketball players in there, you're kind of in that 3-point athletic stance position, knees slightly bent, right, to allow, better movement and, a little better control. So when you take a look at your golf swing, right, you're here. I'm a righty, so that's why it will look this way to you. Lefties is just the complete opposite, that's all, right? So we're here. When you think about when you're coming back this way, right, take a look. What does your lower body do, right? What are your knees doing right now, right? Are they twisting with you? Are they bending more? Are you coming up out of your stance? Like, what, just from you practicing from here to here, what's happening with your knees at all?
And that's where you're going to want to start. Okay. So I come through, starting my approach stance, right? I'm coming back, so my backswing, right? And is my knee collapsing towards my right? Lefties are going to be the opposite way, it's going to your left, right? Or does my body completely stay and I can disassociate my upper and my lower? Do your hips just do, what are your feet doing? Are your feet locked in? All right. So someone that has already an issue with knee, like pain, discomfort, anything like that, right? You just add a slight, standing this way, you just add a slight twist, right? Someone that is already in pain, right? I'm not even swinging, right? And I can feel the pressure because of how I'm turning, right? I can feel that little bit of tension, right? Well, now put your swing at full motion, right? You're trying to hit the ball as hard as you can. You're trying to come through, your swing phase, right? Whether it's a driver, whether it's an iron play, whether it's a wood off the fairway, anything like that, you're coming and trying at full speed. Think of the torque that you're causing within a joint, right? Like, as we mentioned before, the knee only flexes and extends. That's all it does, right? It's not meant to move in all different planes, right? Not like your shoulder, where your shoulder literally moves in every plane, right? The knee is not designed for that. So add a slight discomfort before you're playing. Now take your swing where you might not be as stable or as strong, right? You put torque on your knee, going, coming back, and then coming through to your follow, right? And that's where you're going to constantly continue to keep aggravating maybe that same area that seems to never get better, right? So, well, what can we do to kind of battle all of that, right? Well, one, we're up north, right? So we don't get to play as much or as long or maybe as often, right? So our season is relatively short. So northerners, right, have to try to do something within a gym or like an indoor driving range or something, because you just can't take a month, 2 months, 3 months off and then expect your game and your body to be ready for the next round, right? So we can't do that, right? We got to figure out what we can do for that. For anyone's in the southern or west coast, warm weather all year, right? How much are you playing, right? Do you play 5, 6, 7 days a week? Like, does your body ever able to stop and actually recover? Are you, then we're going more towards, say, an overuse, all right? So once we hit an overuse, really, you got to stop playing because nothing seems to work, right? So basically, you're just constantly going, right? So that little bit too much will cause. So you kind of got to play the game of what's the right number of rounds I can play that it doesn't bother me. And then for everyone else is, what can I do when I'm not playing to help? All right. So one thing that you're going to want to start learning to do is you're going to have to start squatting, right? If you think about it, you squat probably more times in a day than you even realize, right? Getting up and out of a chair, getting up and out of a car, right? You're moving, if you have to walk upstairs, you're moving in those positions where your knees are constantly flexing and extending, right? So, but why would we want to squat? Why would we want to deadlift? Why do we want to do a lower body, say, exercise program, right? Well, we need to build your muscles up. We need to start getting strong, right? And then also, in turn, you're really building that endurance, right? Because if you're going to go to where you're going to be playing a lot, or you're playing none and then you're going to be playing, right? Your body needs to be able to endure that type of activity, right? Take football players, right? They got to work out, right? Soccer players, they got to work out in order to last a game. Basketball players got to be able to last
however many minutes they're going to put in on that shift. Hockey players need to be able to last their 2 minutes with their shift, right? So golf's the same way. Whether you drive a car or whether you walk, you're 9 or 18 or whatever, right? It's still, you're building that endurance up to make it worthwhile. Because as you probably noticed already, if you haven't paid attention, by the time you get to the 15th, 16th, 17th, you kind of start to feel maybe your back's starting to get a little tired. Maybe, I'm starting to get a little tired, maybe getting hungry, getting thirsty, right? Well, that is your body basically telling you that, like, oh, well, I've kind of been doing this for an hour, 2 hours, 2.5. Like, I'm starting to go down, right? I need some more energy. So while we're in the gym, we can build your programs to get you to where your body can actually build itself back up and you last the round to where you're not trying to come in on the 18th and then you're just absolutely beat, right? So what we want to do, you build, your lower body program, right? You're going to want to squat. You're going to want to deadlift, right? Those are all types that, are safe. They are effective under proper supervision and proper form, right? We don't want you deadlifting with rounded backs. We don't want to do that. You don't deadlift heavy every single day. It doesn't, it's proper sequence with your proper, program design that how you want to be healthy, safe, and effective. All right. So once we build that lower body program for you, you're going to want to go for a mix between kind of like an endurance training to be able to last, and then also strength, because your lower body is crucial with the transfer of energy coming off the ground. Like, look at these long ball drivers, right? If you ever, sports science, you see it on Instagram and all that stuff, they'll slow the video down and you will see the transfer from going from their backswing and then coming all the way through. Sometimes their feet actually leave the ground because of how much force they're trying to plant and try to, and send through, right? So lower body is extremely crucial to where you need that strength, all right? So what are some of the exercises that, you don't want to go to the gym, right? You don't have time in the day, you don't have a membership, maybe your gym's closed, who knows what's going on now, right? So what can I do at home, right? A lot of these programs, a lot of these exercises that we've been doing has literally been in your living room, your bedroom, basically, your office floor. Like, if you can get away with it with your boss, maybe your own boss, right? Who knows? All right. So these are things that we can do just about anywhere. All right. So why not just bodyweight squats, right? Why not just come down and just knock out some bodyweight squats? You can knock those out anywhere, carrying groceries, hold bags. There's some added weight for you if you think body weight's not strong enough, right? You got some gallon jugs, milk jugs, anything like that. You guys got little ones, just hold your little ones, Or, if you don't have, you got a dog, hold a dog. Hold your cat, hold an animal or something. Or, there's creative ways that you can go to where, if you think body weight doesn't do anything, you can find certain things to go. So bodyweight squats is probably the easiest, simple, and it's very effective. All right. So one thing we want to make sure is, well, where are my feet supposed to be, right? Well, we don't need to go wider than hip width, right? So now you're approaching a sumo squat. Yeah, you can do those, but that's not where we're going at, right? We're just talking about a basic squat. So basically, right around hip width, maybe just a little wider, right? Toes kind of pointing forward. If your knees bother you, can kind of point them out a little bit, but we want to try to be as square and in line as best as we can. And we're literally just pretending that there's a chair right behind me and I'm just sitting down. All right. I'm just sitting down in the chair behind me. If you want, put the chair behind you. Right. All right. I got my chair behind me. I'm just going to come down and I'm going to sit on the edge and I'm going to stand right back up. It's literally that simple. All right. So you can do that just about anywhere and everywhere. All right. So one that is kind of a little funky is my feet are together. I don't know if you can back up, you can see it. So my feet are going to stay together, right? And I'm going to do a slight bend in my knees. All right, so I just got a little slight bend. This is completely extended. That's, so I'm just going a little slight. And all I'm doing is just doing a couple little
couple of little micro squats basically, So I'm just kind of bending. All right, so you're probably gonna feel it, right here, right around, right above your knee, right in your quads. All right, perfectly fine. If it hurts, don't do it. It's literally that simple. All right, but this little progression is pretty simple. So now I got my heels, right? My heels are going to be together, and it's the same thing. Your knees are going to go apart. It's perfectly fine. That's no big deal. But it's the same thing. I'm going to do slight bend, and then it's just doing like 10 to 12 reps, right? So you go feet together, heels together, and then the last one, toes together. All right. So this is one that sometimes your foot, with your toes together, your foot might want to try to leak out. Just stop and bring them right back together. So I got my toes together. All right. I got a slight little bend. Your thighs might come together perfectly fine. If they don't, it's no big deal. But still, we got a slight bend, and then I'm just going down forward. Right. So you can do all three of those. It hits, works a different part of the leg, like. It's something simple, something you can do every other day, twice a week, once a week, something, right? It's something more than what you're doing now, all right? And those types of movements, that type of just getting used to doing something to prep yourself before, around, or before the season will lead into something bigger, for you in the long run, so. And then, a lot of things is, knees over toe. That's still a huge controversial topic. Knees over toe will happen. It's really based off of where your body is. Like with lunging, a lot of people don't like their knees over toes. You hear a lot of different, coaches say, if they wind up over the toes, they wind up over the toes, right? Everybody's different. Everyone's alignment's a little different, right? It's going to basically be based on what feels comfortable for you, right? So if your knees go over your toe and you start to feel pain, guess what? Don't do it, right? It's literally that simple, all right? And if I'm doing like a forward lunge and it just kind of slides over, I don't feel any pain. I don't feel pain the next day. You're going to be probably okay, right? The chances are that you're going to be good to go. So you don't have to worry about that aspect as much. So what you want to do is really pay attention to what your body is kind of telling you. Is something that I do hurting? Is this exercise that I'm performing, causing more discomfort, more pain than what I had before, right? So this is where you need to kind of look into what your body is telling you, right? Us trainers and coaches, like we can design things that are like, all right, well, I need your muscle to do X, Y, and Z in order for you to perform this. So this is what we have to do. But guess what? If your body doesn't let you do that, then you can't do it, right? So just like how, we kind of teach that every swing is unique, which is very true. Even when you look at the tour, like John Rahm, Rory, like Tiger, like all their swings are completely different because it's based off of what their body can do. So if you got a swing coach that's trying to tell you that I need you to swing this way, that's great to help your swing. But the question to ask is, does my body let me swing that way? Okay. So you're in a bent position, you're 5-iron pose, right? I'm here. Okay. But, your coach wants you to get into a different way. Can your legs or your knees or your back get you into the position that he wants or she wants, right? If it can't, then you're never going to be able to complete that task for them. So what we want to ask is, all right, you want me to get into a certain position. That's great, but what can I do to get my body to get into that position? Okay, so if I need to be more mobile in some spots in my hips, do I need to be more, like stronger around, maybe my quads, like the front of your leg, or hamstrings at the back, right? Do I need to get stronger there to be able to hold the position that my coach wants me to get in? Okay, so that's where we kind of, like with Titleist, we kind of work with kind of everyone, right? You got your swing coach. Your swing coach wants you to swing a certain way, but guess what? all right, my fitness coach is going to help me get into that position to make sure I improve the swing that way too. Okay, so it takes more than one to get where you want to be, but remember, your body, you can only swing the club the way your body's going to let you. All right, so if you can't get into an athletic stance, you're not going to be able to swing the way as someone may want you to swing. Okay, so if you have to stand upright more, well, that's going to be a little different because as you maybe go towards your backswing, you're probably going to come up off the ball, right? Because you can't stay down in that bent position, right? So you come off the ball, right? My knees are kind of coming up. I'm kind of standing up now, right? And I come down. Well, if I'm up, right, chances are I'm going to have to compensate maybe with a reverse spine, right, to try to come down and hit the ball, all right? Or you're going to miss the ball entirely, right? Everyone's kind of seen that. You're going to top the ball, right? Or you're going to overcompensate to where you might reverse, drop so much that you actually might come under the ball well before and, hit it fat, right? You're going to take up more ground than you are able to hit the ball. So think of that a couple times. Like, when you're maybe at the driving range or, you're just kind of practicing, say somewhere, right? Like, where's my position? Do I stay bent? Do my knees allow me to stay where I need to be? Or do I come and pop back up? But, just a little bit of information, a little bit of those nuggets that we're trying to send out. So I hope there's a little bit, more clarity on a couple things that we can do. You can literally spend a long time dealing with knees because it is something that is very interesting because you might have someone that has literally no cartilage in their knee and they don't feel pain. And then you might have someone that has a completely healthy looking knee on an x-ray and they have pain everywhere. So, the knee can be very complicated, very complex. So, base thing is see a doc, make sure, it's something that you are, experiencing and feeling and it's, healthy and safe. So that way you can keep performing and doing what you want to do. And then, see a coach, see your swing coach, see your fitness coach, right? And to make sure that, you're doing everything that you can, to make sure you're successful on the course. So like always, go ahead, like, subscribe, share some information for us. If you're ever up here in the Aquatic Center in the Upper Valley, stop on in and have a little chat with us. And like always, if there's anything that you guys want to go over, just let us know and we'll do it. So it's Thursday, the weekend's approaching, so hopefully you guys get out and get some rounds in and be able to play. And hopefully these little segments are kind of helping you maybe think a little bit before you play. So enjoy your weekend, and like always, we'll see you next week.